Welcome to the Fixin Your Crown Boo podcast. This is a podcast meant to interview dope people in leadership who use the model of servant leadership and are driven by emotionally intelligent leadership, as well as being passionate about lifting people up, empowering their success, because the pie is big enough for us all, and we can all find a slice at the table. My name is JD Johnson, and I am your host for the podcast. A little about me: I am a project management and program management professional with over 20 years of experience through a variety of industries, ranging from manufacturing through to consulting to healthcare to retail and technology and software as a service. I love leadership. I'm passionate about uplifting others, and I wanted to bring this podcast to you to lift you up and also share the stories of the dope people that I know who deserve to have a voice and who love lifting others up as well. That being said, today I have my good friend, Alex Barra is a senior organizational effectiveness consultant at Delta Dental. Alex has had many HR roles in the various capacities, from labor relationship representative and HR business partner to more advanced roles such as talent and operational development consultant and HR innovation and change program manager. Beyond HR, Alex has also been a management consultant focusing on projects that drive technology transformation and providing guidance on change management strategy and execution. They hold a degree in industrial and labor relations from Cornell University. Welcome, Alex. How are you doing today?
Hello, JD. I am good. Happy to be here with you on the pod.
Happy to have you. So anything you want to add to your illustrious career and intro?
Oh my gosh. No, I think you did a good job. In my spare time, I enjoy, running around with my two pups. That was be my only other personal factoid I would add.
There. Well, who doesn't love puppies?
Yes.
Right. So we're going to get into the podcast questions. And I think a really great place to start is, what was one of your most defining moments in your career?
Wow, yeah. So I think one of the moments that I think it had been very early on in my career, and I'm so happy that it did. I was in a room. We were doing something as a labor representative with probably my first year out of school, and I was in a meeting where what we called termination council, where we would present cases for termination, and being in HR, you would have to get everyone's okay, and people would try to poke holes in your case, etc. And so I had my first one and live in the room, and of course I was nervous. It was my first time ever doing it. But after the meeting, one of the directors who was in my chain of HR asked me to stay behind. And I was like, oh gosh, what did I do wrong? What's happening? And so she actually said to me, hey, Alex, do you know how many times you said when you were talking? And I was like, 15? And she was like, no, 38. And so she basically went to go say, Alex, you deserve to be here. I know that you are younger or earlier in your career, but you have to have confidence and you deserve a seat at this table. And ever since she said that, I just felt it was what I needed to hear. And I feel like it's always in the back of my mind. And I always try to do that for other people too. If you see something and you think and you believe in that person, you should tell them, hey, I believe in you and you should be here, but I noticed this and I know you can fix it and it will help you. And so I think having that very, very early on coaching conversation in an unexpected way, that's always something that I've taken with me over the past 11 plus years, was I deserve a seat at the table and I shouldn't be nervous. And I think it has helped me immensely with my confidence. And if I ever notice that in other people, I try to point it out as well to say, hey, you deserve to be here too. Everyone deserves a spot here. So I think that was a really interesting, pivotal moment very early on in my career, for sure.
Yeah, that sounds absolutely powerful. And I love that idea of you belong here. You deserve a seat at the table. I know for myself, and you can tell me if sometimes we get imposter syndrome, right?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
what am I doing here?
That's right.
Do I belong here?
People get, I mean, I get it. I still get it, right? When I'm like thinking about certain things, but I think it's just like a mental model where you just have to say, okay, maybe I haven't experienced this thing exactly, right? But I'm good at what I do and I can figure it out. And we are all capable of figuring it out. You might need help, but it's okay to ask for help. Like, that's a very strong position to be in where you know that you need help. Like, that self-awareness is huge.
Absolutely. And I think in the political climate, we had a quick conversation also with Mike, and we won't dive into that. But the idea that we're scared that people won't realize or people won't provide or, even just give a little bit of space for you to prove your worth, that seat at the table. And that, things are happening in the world that make us feel that, we don't belong as an immigrant coming from Canada, from parents of immigrants to Canada. There's always this thing about, you weren't born here. You're a guest. This is a privilege. We're allowing you into our country. And there's definitely sentiment that makes me feel that people are trying to take away seats at the table, not just for me, but for everyone.
Oh, unbelievably. I mean, I think one of the things that I didn't explicitly share, but, I identify as a non-binary person. So I do use they, them pronouns. And I've been identifying this way for probably like 4 years at this point. And, that they're coming for us too, right? Like in some of the ads that went out. And it's like, you have all the same people that think the same way. How are you ever going to like move forward with a different position or like a different way of doing things? Like, you being an immigrant is just as valid as me being a citizen here who's a non-binary person. Like, I just feel like they are really good at, pitting people against each other and kind of like shifting blame on some sides of politics where it's like, I deserve to be here because of X, Y, and Z. And I think that like when it comes from a leadership perspective, like I always say, like, I want really smart people to be around me always because my way isn't the right way. Like I have an opinion on things, but you always have to include other people who think differently than you. And if you all think the same, that's where I think you start getting into like this weird, like, yes mentality to like everything that somebody might say. And so it's just something to watch for in leadership. And it's just important that we continue to fight to be at our table, because if you don't, somebody else will, who has a stronger viewpoint, etc.
Absolutely. And I think something really interesting is the idea that we all belong wherever we want to be. And we, as people, as leaders, as people who are different from the norm, we have to be part of the solution to help bring everyone to the table and give them a chance. You live, you die, you make your chance what you make of it, but giving the opportunity to do that is so important as a leader.
Yep, exactly. Because it's like, if you have a leadership team and, you have people that aren't like you or don't seem like, it's not relatable, how is that helping like the cause? You know what I mean? Like, if you don't see people that are rising up in leadership or like that are representative of like your beliefs, like I feel like it's so important for people to continue to keep pushing, right? We have to continue to push and break certain ceilings, right, in certain areas to continue to move on and just continue to prosper, right? Like, we can't just roll over,
Absolutely. We all have to do our part. And I've seen studies about how diverse thinking, companies that have diverse leadership, women, immigrants, people of color, are actually more successful than those that don't, because they have this different perspectives, different cultural backgrounds, different ways of thinking of things. And that actually has led to success. I wish I knew the number off the top of my head, but that has led them to be more successful than companies that are homogeneous.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I believe it. Like, how can you create anything if everyone thinks the same? If everyone's like, we should do A, yes, oh my gosh, yes. Like, it could be productive. You could put something out there, but you're missing a whole part of your audience that doesn't think like you. You know what I mean? So I just think it's so important to make your voice heard in any way that you can, whether it be professionally, whether it be personally. You just have to have some sort of way to get out there.
Agreed. And so talking about, being able to have this voice, being able to bring your authentic self to the table and having that seat that you deserve at the table, who has been your biggest cheerleader in general, or who has been your biggest cheerleader in helping you show up at your seat at the table?
I mean, this is a great question. I feel like there are definitely people along my journey who I probably experienced, when I've experienced periods of self-doubt, who have definitely been an advocate for me. So like, I think first that comes to mind is like my fabulous bosses over the course of my career. Every time I wanted an opportunity or like wanted to like figure out and own my own path, like there are so many leaders that I can think of off at the top of my head that have embraced me and been like, you can do this, we believe in you. In my career, I've had roles created because I pitched it and they were like, yes, we need this. And so, my partner Carrie is also a very big cheerleader for me in my personal and professional life. And so she's always making me want to take action and telling me that I can do this, right? I think that I do suffer from imposter syndrome a lot, and I think I do get into my head, but I think you have to have those people around you, whether it be your mentors, former bosses, your actual boss. You need people that are going to just be like, you're not thinking rationally, and I think that you're very warped right now. And I've definitely had that. Like, I've definitely leaned on my people to like say, hey, I'm thinking about this. What do you think? Am I thinking about this in the right way? And more often than not, people are like, I don't know why you're thinking like this. Like, I don't know why you're doing it. So I think I definitely lean on some of my big time mentors, my partner, even friends to kind of check myself. I think that there's a reality checking that's so important. Like as you're going through not only your life, but also your professional career. And I always think that whenever I need a reality check, I have my people that I know will give me a reality check and be like, you are good at this, or you are really strong here, or whatever it may be. Sometimes we all need somebody to help fix our crown boo, And so I would just say to anybody, it's so important to know who those people are and know who you can count on when you do need that.
Absolutely. It's so important to have at least somebody on your cheerleading couch to lift you up, to toss problems or brainstorm with, that can keep you honest, keep you authentic. Thinking about the cheerleader that maybe you wish you had, or your biggest hero or shiro, the person who, to you, maybe you don't know them personally, but there's someone who helps be your guiding light or North Star.
What was the question?
No worries. Who is your biggest hero or shiro? Who is that person that you may not know personally, but is an inspiration or is that guiding light or North Star?
Ooh, this is a good one. I mean, I've had people that I've worked with in the past that I think are like the most amazing leaders / consultants that I've worked with. And so, fun fact for everyone listening, JD and I worked at the same firm, the same consulting firm. And I think like one of the people that I just love so much is like an Annie, right? She is, I learned so much from her from being like in a project with her for, I think it was 2 years. We actually caught up yesterday. And so it was so good to see her. And
nice.
She always gives me realness, right? She's always like, Alex, you're really good at this. And like, why don't you think about doing this? And I always walk away from the conversation being like, okay, I'm better than I was, because she just knows how to give me feedback in a way that like it really hits. But I think about just her leadership, like her project delivery, like how she runs things. Like she's such an empathetic and servant leader, like, kind of like the genesis of this podcast, right? Somebody who really genuinely cares and like wants to uplift people. And so she used to like send us on our team like these like little bulletins at the end of the week of like what everyone was doing, and everyone had a shout out of something that they did well. And like she was all about bringing people along, making people feel really good, but also like having that mix of like, we have to get work done, right? And so she was just somebody that you wanted to work really hard for, and like you would run through a wall for, like within reason, right? But she's one of the people that I'm like, when I grow up, Like I want people to see me like other people see her, because not only is she just amazing and so technically competent at her job and being a consultant, but she also has that people side that's so important. And so I would say Annie for sure is like one of my North Star heroes of like who like one of the best people that I've ever worked with.
Oh, I love Annie. I wasn't lucky enough to work with her personally, but I definitely saw products of her work and just how she moved through the world. We worked with on the internal coaching team.
Oh, nice. Yes. And like, that's another thing, right? She was always trying to help get people better. Like that was always her thing. And she still does that in her new role, in her new org. I can't say enough good things. But I'm happy you were exposed to her in some way, because, she sets the gold standard, I think, in my mind.
I agree with that. Annie is awesome. And she's always someone who I could see, even though I didn't work with her personally, what type of impact that she has. And I love the fact that she would do a shout out every week. I feel like I need to steal that idea.
I mean, there were so many things that she would do that were just such good team practices. I think one of my passion areas is making sure that you have an effective team, and then bringing people together around a shared vision. And she was so adept at doing that, and it was super powerful, because it's like, even if somebody on our team wasn't doing anything, right? Like we were just kind of like pausing, or like something was going on, like she had something nice to say and something super uplifting. And so, I mean, you could probably make a masterclass out of the way that she's run some of her teams, for sure.
Ooh, well, having that being said, I think I'll have to reach out to her, not only just to say hi, but I think maybe I'll have to add her to the list, because I love her. And, I'm loving hearing about how an amazing leader she is. And
yeah,
I always able to model.
No, even now we haven't worked with each other in like 10 months, right? And, she's always somebody that I like really, really appreciate. And, she's just, yes, add her to the list.
All right, she's added. We're going to add Annie to the list, and hopefully we'll get a chance to do an interview like this with her. I'd love to pick her brain.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to keep moving with questions. I think it's not on our list, but I do want to know. You've been a leader, you've led teams, you've led projects. I'm curious as to why do you like leading? Or do you?
You know what? I love this question. Because I think that this is helping me in my own personal journey. Because in my current role right now, I am an, organizational effectiveness consultant, and I play very much like that support role. And I support SVPs, VPs, in the technology and product areas. And, I'm not leading a lot. It's very different. And I think one of the things that I love about teams and leading is I love sports, JD. I could give you a sports metaphor all day, every day, but I think there's just something really amazing about getting a group of people together and playing on each other's strengths and figuring out a shared path forward. Like we get everything done, and there's trials and tribulations along the way, but also, when there are wins, like it's so amazing to share those with a team. And so, that's something that I'm definitely missing in my role, and like having that ownership of delivery and making sure that, everything works, because I'm out there supporting people, which is good, which is okay. This is a new job. It's all good. But, I am missing like the leadership aspect of it. And I think that I've had a lot of really wonderful leaders that I've taken like golden nuggets from over the years. And, I think I really enjoy like the storytelling, the working together, the camaraderie. I think it can get pretty lonely if you're on your own and you don't have a team. Like whatever the team might be, right? If you're trying to fix a problem or you're trying to solve a short-term thing, I always like to work better in teams. I think that the thing that comes with leading teams that people don't do is you kind of skip the step of like, okay, we're established and now we're going right into work. But like, it's so important, especially if it's a long-standing project, to kind of like, let's talk about our ways of working and like how you like to work and how we're going to move this forward. And I've just been seeing that a lot in this new role. It's like, okay, we have something that we need to do. Let's do it. Let's put together the project plan. And it's like, whoa, wait. What about the roles and responsibilities? What about our norms? What about all of the other stuff that we need to kind of set up? And I understand if it's a short-term team, like, it's a couple of months or a smaller project, you're not going to do that. Like, maybe you'll do a modified version of it, but I just think it's so important to set the tone before you start rolling and start delivering, like, of, what are we trying to do here? How are we going to do it? How are we going to be with each other? How are we going to treat each other? What are you actually doing? And, making sure that everybody understands their part and, like, where we're heading.
Absolutely. Setting direction and
Yes,
bringing everybody along with you on that journey.
yeah,
It's so key.
that's something that I've, like, really loved in my career. And so, like, one of the things that I can kind of point back to is, like, I saw the need for one of the HR functions that I was working in. This was probably over 6 years ago at this point. I saw the need for HR to evolve. And so one of the things that I did was I pitched it to some of my people of, like, hey, I think that we need somebody in the role to just look at innovation and how we continue to move forward in this future of work for HR. Like, we have the business, right? Like, I think of Lockheed, that's where I was. They're doing all sorts of really cool technical stuff to like do their manufacturing work, right? But we're in HR and we're, like, not catching up. And so I was able to, like, get that buy-in and start that job. And, like, my first thing was I had a team of people who were interested and were wanting to help, but I had to do a lot around who are we, what are we trying to do, why are we trying to do it, and get everyone aligned. We're not trying to save the world. I wasn't trying to automate a ton of stuff, but it's how do we just make a better culture? And so I just get a lot of energy from starting things up and getting people exciting and generating that excitement, because you're not going to have people who are passionate or excited if you don't try to generate that, right? It's almost like if it's stagnant, it's going to stay stagnant type of thing. So yeah.
No, I appreciate that. There is something to be said for winning as a team and having a group of people that you can share your successes with and your failures, but it can also build you up. I think that is such a key reason for wanting to lead. So now we know why you wanted to lead. What has been your biggest struggle as a leader or an aspiring leader?
Yes, I definitely had a hard time throughout my career on teams. Like, it's sometimes hard to trust that things are going to happen. I'm the type of person that I need to see it, right? I'm very visual. I can get kind of nervous if I don't see an output or I don't see what's happening. And so for me, a lot of the mentorship that I've gotten is that you have to have faith in your people, right? Like, that they're going to come through for you. You can put things in place that'll help you guide people in their deliverables. So whether it be like, let's do checkpoints every week. I want to see where you're at with this deliverable. Or asking if you need any help. I'm happy to help. But, there are ways to manage folks where it feels like you're giving them ownership and you're not just telling them what to do, but also, like, giving them time and space to figure it out, but also, like, being able to give constructive feedback. Like, I think that that's so important, because I think that there's sometimes where people can swirl if they don't know what they're doing or feel like they don't know what they're doing. So it's like, how do you create that structure as a leader to enable them for success? Like, they might not do it the way that I want them to do it, but there are different ways to getting to the end, right? There are different ways of getting to the end result. And so kind of like putting your belief in those people to say, hey, like, I know you can do this. I mean, we're hitting some roadblocks, but let's work through it. Let's be collaborative. And that's something that I love to do that stuff with folks of, like, if you feel stuck, you're not wasting my time, right? I want to help you. I want to teach you. I want to help you grow. And maybe we can get over this roadblock together and you take a gold nugget forward, right? That's kind of the way that I've been looking at it, but it was very challenging for me to trust that things are happening and that, it might not be the way that I want it, but it still works. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I think being a leader, there's a couple of key things. We take this from the change management, at par, about what's in it for me? What's there with it, right? As a leader, that's probably one of the first things you want to start to understand about your people. Why are they here? What are the reasons why they're doing this job? And provide no judgment if it's because of the money. We all gotta live, right? Maybe it's because they want to transition to something else and this is a good opportunity. And
Yep.
by looking at their wisdoms, we can actually use that to help motivate them, because now you
Yep.
start connecting the dots between A, the company mission, B,
Yep.
what they want to do, C, how they fit together to move them to where they want to be.
Exactly. Yes. One of the things that I used to do with bigger teams was like when I would start, I would want each person to say, like, to fill out a user manual to me type thing, right? How do you like to be recognized? Do you want to be one-on-one? Do you want it to be in front of a group? Are you okay with that? I mean, because, there's a lot of nuance that goes into that. Of like, if I'm super shy, like, just tell me good job. Or like, give me a gift card or like whatever, right? But, some people might be like, yeah, like recognize me on all hands. Like, that's okay. Not to say that it's going to happen, but yeah, you have to know what motivates people and you have to know how people want to be like managed too, right? Like how does your style and their style merge together? And that's an art that takes a while and can be pretty clunky, right? If you don't think about it in those ways when you start with a team or with a new direct report or whatever.
Yes, people need to understand that they've been heard and to provide, I love psychological safety, providing a
Yeah.
safe space to provide those answers to their leader.
Yep, exactly. Because one of the things, there was a study that, leaders have like a extremely, extremely, extremely high effect on their people, right? If you make them feel good, they're going to want to work for you. If you don't, it's going to cause a lot of dissatisfaction or whatever. I don't think that a lot of leaders realize the power that they have or the impact that they have. It's not all about just getting people to deliver for you. It's like you have humans who have lives, who have things like outside of the orbit of like them sitting in a desk chair with you, right? That affect and mold us. And so, it's important to just like take that all into consideration as a leader, that you have so much impact on other people. And like, I don't think people realize that.
Absolutely. We can truly lead people by helping them lead themselves in some way and giving them the space to tell us what they need to be productive, to be successful. And as we nurture those flowers, those seeds.
Yes, I agree. I 100% agree. And I think I've seen so many people be like very reluctant to ask for help at all different levels, right? From the associate level to even director, executive like levels. But if you're going to resist the need for help, you're going to continue to paddle upstream. Like I give people so much more credit who have the awareness to be like, I can't do this on my own. I need help, and that is okay. I'm not weak. I don't suck, right? Like I just need somebody to put me in the right direction or like help me or coach me, right? Like there's just so many avenues that people can take. They just have to feel like, not that they're weak or whatever, the negative connotation that people want to put in their brains, but there are so many people around you who just want to help you. And I don't think a lot of people don't realize that. All you have to do is ask.
That is so key. And I think it goes back to that idea of, as a leader, creating psychological safety, creating a space where there isn't judgment for people to ask help. Where if you go to your leader, that doesn't mean you're dumb. It doesn't mean you're stupid. It means that you're self-aware and understand that you need help in this moment. And as a leader, it's so key to be able to not only just create that space, but nurture that space and provide the feedback and whatever that they need in that moment to help them grow.
Exactly. And it's not like a negative thing. Like we all need help. We all like, there are all things that like we've never dealt with before that maybe other people have dealt with, like I think it's a sign of strength to say, and to make people feel psychologically safe to come to you. I think that that's the other part of it is like, as a leader, what steps are you making to show that like you're open and willing to help? And also like that it's not a punitive thing, like that you're not mad, right? Because like if you show any sort of negative feedback signs, the possibility and the probability of people coming to you after that is going to be really slim. And you're not going to see results because people are going to be working in a vacuum. So it's so critical for leaders to know that. But I also think, JD, I've been in HR long enough to know that when you start as a leader on day one, you get no training, right? Maybe with the exception of one one organization I worked with, like they had a 5-star leader program for shop floor managers, which was okay, right? But nobody has a rule book or like a way to do it. And it's hard. You have to learn on the job, and you have to lean on your upper management to kind of like guide your way. But also in some cases, a lot of managers, like they still have delivery responsibilities. So it's like you're an IC, but you're also a leader, and like you're not given the space to like actually work on your leadership abilities. And like that means like giving feedback, doing like your performance reviews, like having those hard conversations to say like, hey, like we really need to work on X, Y, or Z. And like I just don't think a lot of leaders have that vernacular at the more, junior level.
I agree. I know we've talked about this, but, I want to do my doctorate next year.
Yes.
And that's actually a place where I think my research would go, which is all around how new or emerging managers don't get the training they need to to develop their people, to do the performance management side of managing people.
Exactly. Because you know what? Everyone feels like they're scared to have these conversations, or what I've seen in my experience, right? Like people are scared to have these conversations because they don't want to promise something they can't deliver on. Because I think people think about it in one way, like, oh, they just want more money or they want a promotion. But like when you think about employee development, like it doesn't have to just be that. Like it could be stretch opportunities, it could be shadowing, it could be, there's a million different levers that you can pull that aren't just like upward mobility and money. And like you don't have to make you don't have to make promises to anyone. I think that it's, you are a manager, right? So like you obviously have experience. Like just be curious about what people want to do and encourage them to talk to other people, right? They don't have to just talk to you. You're not there to solve it. Like I always think that people have to own their own career. Like we're not just going to be like, okay, JD, we want you to be a director of X function and here you go. It does, like, sometimes it happens that way, but you have to make your what you want and what you want for your career known, because people aren't just going to give it to you on a silver platter. And so I think that it's a twofold thing. I think that employees have to take ownership of their own career, and then managers have to feel confident enough that they're not promising anybody anything and can have these conversations about other alternate ways of development and what that looks like.
Oh, I love that. I think all of what you just said is totally rooted in two ideas that we've been talking about. One is understanding as a leader, what is the victim, the what's in it for me, for your people, because then you can pull the right lever because you know what they're looking for, and you can figure out how you can pull that into their role or provide them with opportunities to be able to showcase that. And then the second piece is the psychological safety. You need to be curious, not judgmental, be open. And I think I had a leader, he wasn't mine particularly, but I had a leader who, in the organization I watched him. And the thing is that he let his people know that he would go to bat for them. They worked for him, he would work for them.
Yep,
he
exactly.
Would go back. And that creates that psychological safety to trust that your leader, there are always limitations in what they can and cannot do.
Mm-hmm.
But that they will do what they can when they can.
Yeah, just knowing that someone has your back. And I think that it takes time, right? Like there needs to be demonstrated wins in that area of I have your back, because you just don't go in just automatically like trusting your leader. You want to assume positive intent, but you need to build those, whatever the psychological safety currency is, whatever we want to call it, right? Like to make sure that okay, my boss is a good person and I know that they have my back. I'm telling them, how I'm feeling, and they're representing my interests at higher levels, and they're in conversations that I'm not in. But I think that you can't, in my opinion, you can't just rely on your direct leader to be the one in the room. You have to have like a network of people who are in your corner that are in rooms that maybe your boss isn't in, or maybe your immediate chain isn't in. Because if you make your wants known to multiple different people, they can be like, and I've had this happen to me in my career of like, hey, I know you said you wanted to do this. Like, do you want to help us with this? And if I never told some of these people, they would never have known. And of course, people are always like, oh my God, thank you so much for letting me know because I have a project for you, right? I think that it's thinking more globally than insularly about what your leader's role is, because it's not their role to develop. Granted, it is their role to develop you, but it's not their role to get you opportunities in all aspects, right?
No, I totally hear that. I think that's another key piece is even when you're not a leader, at the very least, you need to lead yourself.
Yes. Yes.
And that idea of owning your career is leading yourself, knowing what you want.
And find those people that you admire and you want to work with them, or like you want what they have, right? People love talking about themselves. People love helping other people. Like, it's just getting that courage to say, hey, and being vulnerable to say, hey, I would love to get your advice. I mean, people are never going to shut you down. People want to help. That's their first urgency. And if they can't help you, then you can, that's okay. You put it into the universe. Nothing can happen in a vacuum.
And maybe they could find someone who can help you. I love that idea of, I may not know an answer, but I can find out the answer or find you someone who can give you the answer. We can work together to, maneuver through this. All right. So we are winding down. This is a great conversation. I always love chatting with you, Alex.
Yes.
We always have such synergy and great ideas. The one thing before we kind of start closing it down is you had a quote that you said is your favorite quote. And I would love to hear why you love it. It's, I'm not that, I'm better, by Sha'Carri Richardson.
My girl.
Yeah, tell me a little bit more about why that's your favorite quote.
I just okay, so we're going back to the metaphors of sports, right? I loved her story. I just, and if you don't know about her, she was, for the last Olympics, she was caught to have, I think, marijuana in her system and was disqualified and couldn't go and participate. And so she had to wait another 4 years. And so her whole thing was I'm not back. I'm just better than, where I was. I never left. I never left the meeting. And so I think for me, when I hear I'm not back, I'm better, it's it's that continuous improvement mindset. And I think it comes from her being an athlete too, of I'm going to continue to grind my ass for the next 4 years so that I can get there. And she ended up medaling, right? She ended up getting some medals this time around. But I think in the spirit of continuous improvement and owning your career, you can only get better. You're not back in the game, you're just improving. It's not you never leave. You are who you are always. And so I kind of think about it in that realm of, I'm never leaving. I'm not back. I'm still here, but I'm better. I'm doing better. I'm taking my lessons. I'm doing, what is aligned to my North Star and what I want to be doing. And so I love her quote just because of, she's just so triumphant, right? When you think about it, with hindsight, that would be what I would want people to know is you're never leaving the chat. You're still here. You're here in the moment, right? Our only choice is to be better and to continue to work as hard as we can to get your voice heard, get those opportunities, just speak your opportunities into existence. And so that's my fun little play on her quote, because I just think that, I don't know, it hit me because around the same time I was also starting my new job, and it was I'm not back, I'm better, right? I never left, my skills never left me, but I'm continuing to work and fight to reach my dreams and what I want to do. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I love it. I think the idea that you have rooted in the core of that is continuous improvement.
Yes.
Continuous growth. Stay curious about people, about yourself, about your next steps, and keep learning and growing.
Yes. That's the one thing that we can control, right? You can't control the opportunities that you're given. You can't control who you work for, but you can control what you're doing to continue to learn, to continue to grow on your own, right? And you don't need a company to do that for you. You need a LinkedIn and you need a library, right? Or Spotify for a podcast, right? It's not, it's very, very much choose your own adventure.
Ooh, I love that. Choose your own adventure to leadership, to career growth. I think those are ideas that I resonate so strongly with. And I think as a leader or an aspiring leader, or just someone who has dreams, hopes, and aspirations, to continually improve yourself and continually be curious is so key to success for whatever it is that you want to do personally or professionally.
Exactly. You got it.
Yeah, I love it. Oh, yes. So, Alex, we are pretty much at the end. Last thoughts? Anything else you want to put into the universe on this podcast?
No, I think that we hit a lot of really wonderful stuff. And I guess to people that are listening that are either trying to figure out their next move or know their next move, continue to be curious. And don't be afraid to ask for what you want, because all you have to do is ask the right person and you might get it. So don't stop. So that's my ending for the viewership.
And I'm going to add to that, you fail 100% of the shots you don't take.
Hell yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Alex. This has been phenomenal.
Awesome. Happy to be here. Thank you.
And thank you. Signing off for Fixin Your Crown Boo podcast. We hope that you took a lot from this conversation, and tell us your thoughts. We would love to hear what you want to hear next, what you want to learn more of, and look out for the next episode.